Truth is, I thought it mattered. I thought that
money
mattered. But does it bollocks? Not compared to how people matter.
Welcome, Mention and other fine folks, to the Someday Dispatch of the Black Letter, where we contemplate thoughts worth thinking, and we try to build our best life out of those thoughts. Thoughts are important, folks, because as the Mahatma Gandhi quote here suggests, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. So there you go. From the mouth of the great sage, thoughts are important, folks. They arguably, your beliefs become your thoughts, or your thoughts become your beliefs. One could put it either way, but thoughts are then instrumental in your destiny, right? So thoughts are important. And today we have some thoughts. I'm going to talk about privacy, technology, Facebook as well. The Pixel 4a. I currently have a Pixel 3a, which I really like. Probably my favorite phone I've had so far, and I've had iPhones and Androids. I'm not a fanatic of either. I'll use whichever one suits me at the time, or at least for the time being. And currently that's a Google Pixel. And we'll look at the new one coming out. We'll also look at a bit of cryptocurrency. And of course, we will seek the sage, magic 8-ball, the oracle, omniscience as well, and other nonsense. The analyst that we seek. The analyst that is valid, just as many of the flesh and bone analysts we've been listening to that keep trying to feed us pablum and other nonsense. But first up, TikTok and 53 other iOS apps still snoop your sensitive data from your clipboard. Passwords, Bitcoin addresses, and anything else in clipboards are free for the taking. In March, researchers uncovered a troubling privacy grab by more than 4 dozen iOS apps, including TikTok. This was despite TikTok vowing to curb the practice. It continues to access some of Apple's users' most sensitive data, which can include passwords, cryptocurrency wallet addresses, account reset links, and personal messages. Another 53 apps identified in March haven't stopped either. The privacy invasion is a result of the apps repeatedly reading any text that happens to reside in clipboards. Some of you might not think this is a big deal, but privacy is crucially important, in my opinion, to a functional and the foundations of a democracy. Without privacy, we have no agency over the story we want to tell, which is our own story. This is the reason why we close the doors when we go to the washroom. For one example, we don't necessarily want to share everything we do with anyone. Can you imagine living in a police state where the police can walk into your house at any time? Privacy, folks, regardless of not having anything to hide, is crucially important for us to be able to think autonomously, to debate, have discussions on difficult subjects, and it has nothing to do with whether you're a purveyor of illegalities or not. Privacy is important, and it's being eroded slowly, and if we don't care, it's going to continue to be eroded. And of course here, if these apps are stealing clipboard data, you can imagine that they could steal passwords and your cryptocurrency wallet addresses and other things as well, right? So we have to be very, very careful about this, especially if we do keep any cryptocurrency on our smartphones. Here's a quick video. You can see how it's being done. Clipboard spy can spoof on the universal clipboard to read what you copy on your Mac. He's going to show you an example here. Let's have a look. He's using this on the iPad and his iPhone, I believe. So he's going to copy step 1, and you can see it gets copied over there. Very interesting. Here's another example. All these clipboards that are spying on you, right? I mean, all these apps that are spying on your clipboard. And you can see in iOS 14, the app is continuing to show you now. At least Apple is showing notifications when this is happening, which is great news. TikTok's continued snooping has gotten extra scrutiny for other reasons. When called out in March, the video sharing provider told UK publication The Telegraph it would end the practice in the coming weeks. Musk said that the app never stopped the monitoring. What's more, a Wednesday Twitter thread revealed that the clipboard reading occurred each time a user entered a punctuation mark or tapped the space bar while composing a comment. That means the clipboard reading can happen every second or so. So it's very concerning. These are the apps that are here. I just checked. I don't have any of these. You might want to do the same yourself. In some cases, clipboard reading can make apps much more useful. So for example, they use here the UPS iPhone app, for instance, pulls text from the clipboard, and in the event the text matches the characteristics of a tracking number, the app prompts the user to track the corresponding package. Google Chrome also pulls text, and in the event it's a URL, will prompt the user to browse to it. So there are valid reasons for why an app might want to copy text from the clipboard or copy anything from the clipboard. But folks, I think this should be a part of the permissions that the user is granting. Clearly there's been an oversight here from the developers, I would think. There's a lot of information that can be gathered, a lot of sensitive information that can be gathered from the clipboard. But more than this is why I think it's a great idea to continually monitor and prune the apps that you're using. Personally, I only use the absolute minimum number of apps I need to. Most of the apps I use are from Google, for instance, on my Android phone, or they would be from Apple on my iPhone, because don't be fooled, this is going to be a problem for Android as well, especially so, perhaps even more so, because Android works differently to Apple, and they don't being more of an open platform, it has obviously more of a open and accepting ideology, one could argue. So I think most times if I can use the browser to go to an application or to a website, I'll do that. Very few apps that I actually use and download. And I think I'm going to continue looking at them and pruning them as necessary, because this is an outrageous abuse, in my opinion, of access. These smartphones are our most sensitive technological items in many ways. They contain practically the keys to the kingdom. We need to be more cognizant and protective of it. I'd really encourage you to reassess how many apps you have on your phone and which ones you're using and why, because there are some real problems with having apps that can even access all sorts of things in the background without your knowledge. And folks continue to try and spy and hack apps and the app stores and everything else. So it is a bit of a wild west, folks, and especially if you keep sensitive information on there, banking apps or even cryptocurrency wallets, etc., you need to be very cognizant of this. Coca-Cola joins Facebook boycott with a pause on all social media advertising starting July 1st. Honda and Hershey also part of the growing backlash against Facebook and other platforms. The move is part of a broader boycott of Facebook and Instagram organized by the Anti-Defamation League, the NAACP, and other organizations called Stop Hate for Profit campaign. Coca-Cola is going one step further than some of these companies and banning all ads globally on all social media platforms, not just Facebook and Instagram. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg also announced a series of policy changes that, while not explicitly in response to the boycott, appear designed to try and address many of the criticisms the company has faced of late regarding its lack of moderation of violent threats and hate speech. Yet while the boycott may be creating a wave of bad press for Facebook and Instagram, it's unlikely even major advertisers pausing ad spending for 1 month will have a substantial effect on Facebook's bottom line, as the majority of the company's ad revenue comes from direct response ads from small and medium-sized businesses. As we know, folks, small and medium-sized businesses are getting handcuffed during this pandemic. They're having difficulty accessing funds that are supposed to be there for them from the government. And of course, they're the engine of the economy. Most people are employed by small and medium businesses, despite the large businesses getting all the press. This is a real concern, folks. Again, Facebook is a massive abuser of privacy. I don't have a Facebook account. I dislike Facebook and everything that Mark Zuckerberg stands for. You can tell from earlier discussions that have come through, or text messages from the early parts of the platform, exactly what he thinks of users. And if you haven't seen that, let us show you what Zuckerberg thinks exactly of you. Okay, so here's an article for Tom's Guide. Facebook CEO called trusting users dumb Fs. As you can see, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg offered a friend access to users' email addresses, photos, and screen names. This is from 2010. There's Zuckerberg. Zuck, yeah, so if you ever need info about anyone at Harvard, just ask. Zuck, I have over 4,000 emails, pictures, addresses, SNS, redacted friend's name. What? How did you manage that one? Zuck, people just submit it. Zuck, I don't know why. Zuck, they trust me. Zuck, dumb Fs, right? This is exactly what he thinks of you. And what he thought of you, of course, now he'll sing a different tune, but that's exactly what's going on, folks. So this is a good start, but it's not going to be enough, as it says here. Most of the advertising dollars for Facebook coming from small and medium-sized businesses. What we need to do is remove ourselves from the platform. Facebook is an antagonist to our democratic values, I'll be honest with you, my opinion. And I think the sooner we all get off that platform, the better. Despite what we might think individually, if we all acted in unison for values and those things we believe in, we could bring these companies to heel. We need to do that because we are losing our way of life, I think, and our democratic values. And everybody's treating us as consumers and just shills that we could be sold to spend our hard-earned money and keep getting us to bend over, and we keep doing it. Here's another article about companies behaving badly. ProPublica story about a scheme to relabel non-medical masks for emergency workers. An investigation found a group repackaging masks prohibited for medical use. Authorities warn people not to purchase N95 respirator masks lest they contribute to shortage of the medical masks for personnel. These are the most important medical masks for medical personnel that provide exceptional protection from small particles. However, ProPublica investigation uncovered an operation in Texas that was repackaging masks marked as prohibited for medical use into unlabeled bags. According to ProPublica, the people behind the operation, a Silicon Valley investor and his business partner used TaskRabbit and payments over Venmo to relabel the masks with the intent of selling them to emergency workers in Texas. Apparently, it appears that they weren't able to, but my question is, why aren't these people in jail? This is at least a fraud. At the very least, I'm not a lawyer, but I can imagine there's at least fraud to start off with here. But folks, this is why I'm not a big capitalist, a free market capitalist fundamentalist, because this is the problem with capitalism. It brings out the worst in people in many ways. Greed, it promotes greed above all else. And this is a prime example of it. So again, let's withdraw our money from the marketplace. Let's start bringing these companies to heel so that they start working for us rather than continue to rape us of our money and income. We've got to put an end to that. And the only way to do it is to stop spending the money frivolously and to protect our money, save it, pay down our debt, start living our best lives. And our best lives should be ones where companies are utilitarian, or companies are of utility to us rather than an emotional response. And that's what propaganda, aka advertising, is all about, right? To create a sense of emotional attachment to products and services. The only emotional attachments we should have is to people, not to things. Sounds like Google's Pixel 4a is nearly ready and won't have radar. And I just bring this up because I think it's neat. I think it's a good looking phone, as you can see. That's the front side. This is the back side. That's rumored to have a 5.81-inch display, bigger than my, I think, 5.6 on my Pixel 3a. Have a decent mid-range, upper mid-range processor, a decent battery. Hopefully camera, of course, will be most likely at top of the line. And the return of the headphone jack and fingerprint reader, which is nice because most of the flagship phones have lost the headphone jacks, and I'm a fan of headphone jacks. I think they're helpful. It'd be nice to have wireless charging, but I don't think that's on the table here either. Anyway, Apple released the new iPhone SE at a very good price. I think it's $399. It comes with a top-of-line processor. It'll be way faster than this, but it'll likely have smaller hard drive space, and it will also likely have not quite as good a camera, arguably. And there's some suspicions out there that this Pixel 4a, one of the reasons why they've been delayed is they're trying to tweak it to get it at a better price point. Allegedly, we could potentially be looking at a $349 price tag on this Pixel 4a. Hopefully it will be released sometime early July. That's the latest I've heard. And it should have 128 gigabytes compared to Apple's 64 gigabyte to start with. So it's good to see there's some better choices for us. Not everyone can afford a $1,000 phone. Not everybody who can afford a $1,000 phone wants to pay that for a phone. I certainly don't. Not that I can afford one either, but at one point I could. Okay, on to cryptocurrency. Crypto whales are driving these three altcoins higher. Crypto analytics firm Sentiment claims whales are accumulating Lend, Ren, and ZRX. Aave, Ren, and Ox. Not that familiar with those phones. I've heard of Ren and Lend, I think, and perhaps Ox or ZRX, but I'm not familiar with them. Bitcoin and Ethereum both lulled during the month of June and appear price neutral in the short term, allegedly. Cryptocurrency whales are targeting the altcoins, driving their prices into double and triple-digit percentage gains. The report found Lend was up 130%, while Ren and ZRX had appreciated 120 and 10% respectively. So it's interesting. This is one of the reasons why I particularly prefer to stick with the top coins. Arguably Stellar isn't in the top 10, but it's around 14 last I saw. But yeah, it's difficult to figure out, for me anyway, which of the altcoins are going to be the ones that really leap above the others. And that's something that I find I don't have enough information on. I don't have enough research for it, so I'm going to stick to the top ones. As you know, primarily for me, that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and of course, Stellar. But I'm focusing more on my top three holdings currently, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. And hopefully those will turn out well. They might not, but as I said, I'm not putting my fortune into it. Just a little bit of money here and there where I can. Hope to have a few $1,000s worth of these cryptocurrencies by the end of the year, all going well, and hopefully that can provide some good returns in the year or few to come as we go through these difficult periods. I think they will, this class of asset will likely outshine everything else, I think, in the next 18 months to 3 years, I would think, especially even more so than precious metals. And you know that I'm a fan of precious metals, particularly silver at this time as well. I think those are the two asset classes, cryptos and precious metals, that perhaps offer the best potential right now under the current system that we find ourselves in. Here's why Ethereum prices are not surging even as DeFi heats up. As you know, it's important to be able to look at the opposite argument about something that we believe in, just to test our mettle, see how sharp our edge is in our thesis. Much of the ICO boom in 2017 was driven by massive surges in ETH prices. At the time, currently available stablecoins were either not popular or didn't exist, meaning token holders had to sell their holdings to either ETH or BTC and then convert to USD to fully cash out. Now you no longer have to do that. Watkins notes some DeFi coins like Compound or Balancer can be purchased straight from Coinbase or Uniswap for US dollars, eliminating the Ethereum bridge that was required in 2017. So in 2017, you had to put your money into Coinbase and exchange, and then buy Ether, and then move it towards EOS. I think this might be the EOS coin. Now you can put your money into Coinbase, then buy a stable US dollar coin, then take that to Uniswap and create whichever coin, swap it for whichever crypto coin you want to use. However, I still think that most of the swapping, or at least the use of these altcoins on the Ethereum network, will still require gas fees to be paid in Ether. So I think that's one thing that will make Ether still important, but I could be wrong. As I said, I'm not a fanatic necessarily about cryptocurrency. I just believe in them generally, what they stand for, and their potential currently. Watkin notes that utility is a core driver for any currency, such as how the US dollar is more valuable than the Venezuelan bolivar for reasons like an overall utility, worldwide acceptability, and underlying value. And he's suggesting that ETH is like that. So it is possible that within a couple of years, ETH may not only be the most useful asset in crypto given its on-chain economy, but also crypto's most credible scarce asset given ETH 2.0, which is the improved network coming up to enhance speeds and other things, and EIP 1559, which I'm not sure what that is, but it's probably related to ETH 2.0. So there you go, folks. Will ETH be losing out to some of these altcoins? That's not a bet I'm going to take. I'm going to stick with the main ones. I'm going to stick with the underlying network currency, which is ETH, and see how that goes. All right, so it'll be a little different today. We talked about some privacy issues, some technology issues, and how we can best perhaps protect ourselves, because nobody else cares about our own privacy or our own wealth as much as we do. So we have to consider those issues. We have to start thinking about businesses, in my opinion, as corporations, as tools to enhance our lives rather than as emotional beings that we're connected to. That's a dire mistake, and that's something that will create difficulty and hardship for you. You see that especially between Android and Apple fanboys, and it's sad, really. These companies don't care about us other than how much money they can squeeze out of us. But they're not our friends, that's for sure. I think we need to remember that. Okay, but on to the Magic 8 Ball. So, my opinion that app spying on you is a problem on Android just as is on Apple. And so I have a question for the Magic 8 Ball today, our online oracle, the oracle of the online. Are apps copying private data from the clipboard in Android? Even if this says no, you know this is probably happening. My reply is no. I think the oracle, the online oracle, the 8 Ball economist is probably out to lunch on this one. But there you have it, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your support and your comments in the discussion section. Thanks so much. And please let me know how you're trying to bring back some of your own power and control over the corporations and those sorts of other capitalist institutions that you're dealing with on a daily basis. Remember, we should make them useful to us and not the other way around. And above all, Dum Spiro, Spero.